Thank you for staying with us. The Abakari saga is taking more twists and turns as he appears to be hopping from one frying pan to the fire. Just this Monday, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, declared the suspended head of the Police Intelligence Response Team, IRT, wanted for allegedly belonging to a drug cartel. Let's hear from NDLEA.
The one but one the smarter. Soon 5. So soon as I test now. That should be now. Soon. As soon as I test now. Okay. I just one of my
11:05 a.m. on Monday, January 24, after the agency gave the officer the green light to clear along, he and Gary began a WhatsApp call for the rest of the day. The officer conveyed their willingness in quotes to play the game. At this point, Gary disclosed that the 15 kilograms already taken out was shared between the informants that provided the information for the seizure and himself, as well as his men of the IRT of the Nigerian police. And arrested some traffickers that came into the country from Ethiopia with, according to him, 25 kilograms of cocaine. He proposed a drug deal where he and his team are to take 15 kilograms of the cocaine and leave the 10 kilograms for the prosecution of the suspects arrested with the illicit drug in Enugu.
Jide, 2 hours ago when I read this story, Femi, the spokesman of the NDLEA, and I was taken aback. We still had the allegation of the Hush Puppy that we're still calling for further investigation so that we know what actually transpired before talking about his eventual extradition, if he's going to be extradited. Now he has been declared wanted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency with the backing of a video.
Just before we got in here, I saw a news item indicating that he had been arrested, and I told our crime correspondent to find out if it's true that he's been arrested, because this is truly the personification of audacious impunity. If someone is on suspension, still being investigated, his matter had not been decided, and we are hearing this kind of thing that is...
so this thing happened in January?
Yes, it just happened, and they then declared him, they then invited him on February 10, and he didn't show up. That's what they are telling us. So what I can't really understand is how you could be on suspension and you still be involved in something like this. Something is wrong with our country. By now, even his matter should have been decided. Something is wrong with us. I don't know who caused us as a country. By now, that matter should have been decided. What's the back and forth about? There are people who have told me that, look, the police didn't find him guilty, and we are reading stories that the Police Service Commission was not impressed by the work done by the police in investigating him, and they said, go back, investigate him with a different panel, not the panel that
the DIG.
So why is it taking eternity to even decide that first matter? So because if that first matter had been decided,
do you understand?
He himself knew where he was going, he probably won't even be involved in this, because this is even a bigger scandal. It is a bigger scandal. The Americans can can easily maybe give you a slap in the wrist kind of punishment for money laundering or for stealing. But drugs. For being involved in drugs, you need to ask even the president of Panama, who was picked up on December 22nd, 1989.
And bundled.
A president of a country, he ran away to hide inside the Vatican. They eventually took him away for trial in the US. And as he was finishing his sentence, the French people were waiting because they too were ready to pick him. So they take drug trafficking very seriously there because their own children are destroyed by the activities of other people. And in many countries, it's even death. If you bring in drugs into Saudi Arabia, you probably will be executed at the airport there.
Indonesia,
they will be decapitated. And that's the end. Many countries. So I don't understand why is it taking so long.
GKB, when this thing happened, when it wasn't clear, the first one that happened when it wasn't too clear of, you know, what was happening, you had 19 lawyers coming out from the old northern states saying that this guy has been victimized, that is a product of, they want to witch hunt him, that 19 lawyers, they are going to stand for him, that there are lawyers from this particular section of the country. Now, this has happened now, and people are already alleging setup.
Well, if you go through the reports declared by the NDLA, you can see how thorough the investigation was. And you can see from the breakdown that this is not a new thing. It appears that he's been part of this cartel for a long time, and that he's been out of office as head of RRT. They have provided the platform for this to be very successful. But you are right, he has created a larger-than-life image before the problem started. He was the golden child. I don't want to use star boy. He was the golden child of what the Nigerian police ought to be.
The poster boy.
He was the one that people look up to. Not only from the rural part of the country, from all parts of the country, because he was young, he was vibrant, and his media
honored here and there, everywhere.
It was even, remember that National Assembly had to honor him. House of Reps. They had to take him and isolate him for doing a very good job. But those
he's a two-time winner of the Inspector General of Police Special Award. No other policeman has ever been won the award twice.
But if you talk to policemen of superior or equivalent rank during this period, they will tell you it's all shine and no vessel. That because they know what's happening underneath. Okay. But the system
I've just confirmed now that he's been arrested.
So that will put it in a new perspective. Because the narration is that he had three options: give himself up, get arrested, or run away. Which other one is not really good for anybody. So he has created this particular public face that we all believed in, that this is the future or one of the bright stars that's going to change
potential Inspector General Police.
Yes. So a lot of people were disappointed at the first instance, and they were willing to give him the benefits of a doubt. That yeah, maybe we are all humans and things will happen. But this one is what America will call a sting operation. That means for somebody of the stature that we place the Bakayari, should not have fallen.
No. For something. It should be more intelligent than
you understand? Just to confirm the Yoruba adage that it is because trees are near each other that the monkey can dazzle us with the acrobatic skills. Remove the trees.
Monkey has always been acrobatic.
But remove the tree and let him dazzle us on Lagos Expressway. Let him do the same
when the trees are far apart.
Yes, now
and God has been so gracious that He made the trees not to be too far apart.
So when you see
that's deep.
You want the monkey to break his back.
So you get to a point that you just realize that somebody that you put on the pedestal ought to know better.
Honestly.
Now, when they open investigation into this, we might just open like a kind of worm, as in, like he has been arrested now, and if NDLA now starts the thorough investigation, you might discover that you had a super cop, a policeman that people were looking up to, and the person is like a godfather of a cartel. The drug cartel?
Well, at this stage, we just have to be patient. Let's see how deep he is into this.
The rot is
the NDLA started well with what they provided. This weekend, there was a directive emanating from the office of the IG.
Okay.
Directing the
police command.
The tactical units of the police to close down, and the staff should come to Abuja.
Back to the police.
Just similar to what happened back then when we fought for him and DCP Kolo, you know, who has also been doing a good job, you know, in terms of arresting kidnappers and all that. Now, I was wondering, Shebi Abakari is out of the way. Why are you closing down IRT again? My suspicion is that they probably had the feeling that in spite of his being outside of, of his being on suspension, that he was still relating with the boys and still sending the boys on errand. Because if we are to believe what the NDLA has told us, then it means that even while in suspension, or while on suspension, he had access to the boys and he could still relate with them. So I'm not entirely surprised now that the police took that decision to say, okay, we are closing down our tactical units, IRC and the other one headed by Kolo.
Because they were meant to be temporary solutions to a problem. But that they become part of the problem. Remember, we did a story on this a long time ago. I said that all these special squads were meant to attack a particular problem at a particular time and then dissolve back into the police. I know a lot of senior police officers who view them with suspicion, especially the way they operate. So now they will be very happy because they have always believed.
But at a time when we no longer have the, what's it called? When we no longer have the SARS. So if we just simply say, okay, all the tactical teams should go. For me, sometimes I don't believe in simply throwing away the baby with the bathwater.
Just because of...
At a point, I believe so much in Abba Kyari that I didn't believe that there could be any case that he cannot crack. Many people do not know that even the killing of Baba Fashoranti's daughter, he arrested the people that carried it out. He arrested them and the police put them on trial. Yes. Because even some of those breakthroughs do not even get reported. You just see, oh, they've taken these people to court. So there were so many successes recorded by him to have impressed the National Assembly so much to say, okay, this guy, we're giving you this award. So, and that's the way many of us looked at him. It pains people to their bone marrows that this is happening to this kind of individual.
How about the conspiracy theory saying that, look, this might just be a setup in order not to...
You release him to America?
To the United States of America.
No.
Is this what it's...
No.
That kind of conspiracy theory?
What kind of... Because even with
damage
this,
your name more?
Even with this,
finishing your name...
You know the way social media works. People, this is very banal.
Yeah, they go back and do knee-jerk reactions to things that are of major importance.
People will come up with all sorts of...
Remember the indictment, if it comes to pass, is worldwide. It's not peculiar to the US.
Like, you know, so
the thing is, there is no law that even makes it obligatory for us to release him to the Americans. He has to go through an extradition trial.
Yes.
If the court says no, the grounds are not enough to extradite him, we won't extradite him. No, America cannot force us to extradite.
Till he died, Senator Kashamu wasn't extradited.
Yes, the case went on to court, you know, and all that. And of course, he will not make the mistake of going there.
No.
So if he goes there, it's not coming back.
No. Rightly or wrongly, action begets reaction. Rising cases of ritual killings appear to be making people edgy. A mob set ablaze. 2 persons said to have been arrested over alleged possession of human head in Ojaodon area of Ogun State. On Saturday, The suspects were caught with fresh human head concealed in a sack and brought to the station by vigilantes and some members of the public. But the angry mob forcefully invaded the station and took them away to exact jungle justice. Here we are again. It's bound to get to this point because the frequency with which we were hearing cases of killings for money-making rituals and all that, I knew it would get to this point because, as I said last week, we don't punish people for crimes against the state, and rich people have a way of escaping justice. Something that is very blatant. The rich have a way of escaping justice. Either they do what is nolle prosecute, or what's the other one? That they'll just take some money and let them plea bargaining, you know.
And then technicalities.
Yes,
yes.
Or just find technicalities to, like what happened with Oji Uzokalu's case, you know. When the judge, a judge who should know better, he knows that the Constitution says you cannot be judged over two courts. You have been promoted to the higher court. You are insisting on being the one to read the judgment at the lower court from which you've been promoted. The law says you can't be judged in two courts.
Impunity.
Yes, at the end of the day, he read the judgment. After reading the judgment, what happened? It was on that basis, not on the basis that I never told me. Yes, it was on that basis.
The merit of the case.
The merit of the case was brushed aside. It was on that basis that Oji Kalu was allowed to go, and he went back to the Senate to take his job as a principal officer. They were keeping that position waiting for him. They were keeping that whip position waiting for him. Even when he was in detention, as if they knew what would happen. They didn't allow someone like Okorocha, who probably was eyeing the thing, they didn't allow him to become, to take that position. Because he was the person left. You know, from the east, they didn't have that many senators. So he could have gone to Okorocha, but they refused. They were waiting. So the rich and mighty in our country, they know how to contrive things so that justice is never served. Yes. Anyhow. When it comes to them, you won't get justice. And this is what we are seeing. Those people were convinced, largely all these smugglers from that area, they were convinced that, look, the police will eventually release these boys.
You see them walking.
They just told them, said, let's go back to that police station. We can easily overpower them now. If we are up to 50 of us carrying daggers and all that, we will overpower these policemen. They went back there. The same people, they brought them out right in front of the police station. They set them ablaze. When people do not see evidence that justice is coming, these sort of things will keep happening. It's bad, though. We agree that it's bad.
We do not condone it.
But let justice always serve its cause.
We understand.
But in this situation now, in this, like, it's the in thing now, get rich syndrome. Go on internet, what you see will influence you. Our children, our teenagers, you know, if you don't have money, they believe that, you know, you amount, yes, you amount to nothing. So this has led to this kind of desperation.
And the desperation has also been fueled by poverty at the highest level. Why it's not an excuse. Why people need to look for money any way they can. But like Jide said, once there are no consequences and they see people get away with murder, or in this case, kidnapping, they just stand that, okay, the rest will do whatever we do ourselves. Because remember, Ogun State was becoming notorious for acts like this.
Yes.
Human heads, the decapitated bodies of girlfriends, etc. And it's becoming a norm to get to a point that people become suspicious of their neighbors. So once in a while, just like it happened in the 70s after the Civil War, once they caught you as a thief, they will burn you. So it's because of they see that you cannot get justice coming along this line.
Justice is always late.
So the job now is for the governor and the government of Ogun State to find a way to change this narrative. Because once people do this, others will as well.
They won't stop.
They won't stop. And that's my
and sometimes they might just the wrong person apprehend the wrong person, and you know this
many people have been killed.
Mob action.
Yes, many people have been killed. People don't want to hear thief. They don't want to hear thief. They will just rush
the person and
If you remember the story of Akpo 6, if you remember those guys in the east that they were killed like that.
Akpo 6 was even
Yeah,
they were not the police, those police guys, because one of the boys was rude to a police officer. He decided to kill them and then frame them up as robbers. Then went to the female amongst them was detained in the office of one of the policemen. He then went, after he killed the boys, then went to shoot the girl. Even as we speak now, is there justice for the opposites?
The guy was reabsorbed to the police.
That's what they do. Yes, that's what they do. So why won't a policeman think that he has the right to kill people? Those of us who supported NSAS, it was because of this nonsense that the police were doing. It's not for any reason. Those who think that they are more patriotic than the rest of us, because we said NSAS was necessary, they should listen to what the president himself said. You cannot even like the president more than himself. The president said even that your message has been heard loud and clear. And the president said some of the videos that he saw, that he was outraged. The VP also said the demonstration by NSAS was also valid, given the rate of extrajudicial killings by the police. So what are we talking about? You can't kill people. They were coming from a party at midnight. You then shot them, lied against them that they were robbers. But the thing is, truth will always prevail, no matter how long it takes. Now we know that those guys were actually not robbers. Were just victims of irresponsible bunch of policemen who decided to take life that they cannot create.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that with the finest men in Nigerian police force, such few bad eggs.
The bad eggs are not few, there are very many, as we have seen now.
The rot is deep.
Sometimes you think that they are good ones.
No, they are good ones.
The face value.
They are good ones, but a good number of them are not good at all. They are murderers. Some of them are even robbers. President Obasanjo once said publicly that there are many armed robbers in the police. He said at the event. You see, people never do wells who did not know where to go. They ended up in the police.
We're now seeing El Chapo.
Yes, armed robbers.
Kingpins.
Look at that one now in Offa. That was that guy. He was in SAS. When he was in SAS, he was the one giving them weapons. Later on, they dismissed him. He now joined the armed robbery gang fully.
No, he never left. He was just their boss in the government.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, ever be purged of corruption and scandal? The commission is in the news again for the wrong reason. The Senate has summoned the management of NDDC over alleged contract scam running into 100 billion naira. Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee probing the NDDC, Senator Matthew Uboide, lamented that it is painful that such amount was spent on contracts by the commission without justification, while contractors ran away with mobilization fees amounting to 61.4 billion naira. 61.4 billion naira. Just get mobilized and they disappear. Julie, I don't know this NDDC drama, unending drama. Yes, because Nigeria, it is the way we are. One day, one trouble, one day, one drama. Yes, there was a public hearing, elaborate public hearing. We saw it. One managing director, you know, passing out and everything. We saw everything. Off your microphone. We saw everything.
Off the mic.
Yes, it went. This is another one now. And look at the humongous amount involved. 61.4 billion naira. Yes. Just mobilization fee. Get the contractor both away.
We are not prepared to do anything about the corruption at NDDC. If we were prepared, by now we would have agreed to put a board in place, just as the president had promised. By now a board will be in place. Why are we allowing Senator Akpabio to literally be running that place as if it belongs to him? He came up with the idea of the interim management committee that is not known to the act setting up the NDDC. He came up, he got away with it. Later on, he came up with the idea of a sole administrator. The sole administrator is from his state. He as minister is from the same Akwa Ibom state. The presidential aide in charge of Niger Delta, Senator Tainang, is also from Akwa Ibom. So other oil-bearing communities are effectively shut out of the running of the place. He has refused to inaugurate a board. The president promised to get a board inaugurated. That promise has not been met. So why are you surprised that we are hearing this kind of stories? They've received 47 queries. My problem is, look, the National Assembly can investigate the NDDC a zillion times, but what will happen
to come out of it?
Yes, what will happen?
Drama, sound bites.
It will just be impotent rage, amounting to nothing at the end of the day, because we still have, thank God, the internet never sleeps. The stories that emanated from the probe by the House of Reps and by the Senate, both they conducted individual probes. Those stories are still there. The recommendations to government are still there. In fact, it was suggested that the NDDC should be removed from the supervision of the minister and taken to the office of the secretary to the government of the federation. Has the executive implemented that recommendation? The answer is no. So if the same National Assembly or the same Senate that made those recommendations, after probing them and establishing humongous cases of corruption, have not been able to get the executive to even implement one of its recommendations, why are we sure that Senator Matthew Irogide and others are not on a wild goose chase? That's the way it looks. That's the way it looks. Somebody refusing bluntly to inaugurate a board. They've issued threats to him. He's just there running the place alone.
GKB, I don't know, maybe you partook in this 61.4 billion.
So
the bottom line of what we are saying now is that the last probe of NDDC, and somebody was even telling the lawmakers that a sizable number of you guys, you are part of the rot in this system.
To even show outreach when it comes to NDDC is a waste of emotion, because it's obvious that NDDC is well above the law. And if you live in Port Harcourt, I know I was working in Port Harcourt for a while, and then the NDDC in Port Harcourt is a lot unto itself. That's how much they influence the area. And now let me look at the report here. They ran away. Those who collect mobilization close to 61.4 billion.
Mobilization.
This is not 61.4 kobo. Somebody be mobilized at this level cannot run away.
No, it's not possible to.
You will have assets. You will have a base. You will have a registered company.
I know them.
So when you read reports like this, you just laugh, because you know neither the person investigating or the investigating. And
it's coming after the earlier report.
About 4 or 5 other reports. Yeah.
The audit report, the earlier audit report. Fresh cases are coming up. So what are we talking about? These are people who paid money to themselves during COVID, where they were doing nothing. They claimed that they were supervising road projects and other projects during COVID.
So to show outrage is a waste of time, because this will continue as long as the right things are not done. We keep talking about lack of infrastructure, lack of institutions. Yet the few we have, we bastardize just to make one man look good or look bad.
We don't run them properly. We allow impunity to walk on 2 legs.
We keep complaining. No institutions.
Now, what's now the basis of this fight against corruption? If a federal government departments like NDDC and severally they may found culpable, and Mr. President is not ready to make some people examples.
I just don't understand. I don't understand. The first thing to do is to implement the recommendations of the Senate. You can call them names. You can say they are not better than the people they are probing. But I looked at the recommendations and I found those recommendations good enough to be implemented. Go ahead, implement the thing. Yes, the president has the power to delegate. So what has happened now, moving it from the supervision of the presidency to a minister, which was not as prescribed by our laws,
like an aberration,
which was not as prescribed by our laws. Yes, the president is now deemed to be the president exercising his power of delegation, his power to delegate. But if you can see scandals, as we saw in the National Assembly, where somebody was faking passing out and all that, you can't pass out, and when someone was trying to squeeze your neck, you had the presence of mind to hold his hand. That don't kill me. Don't kill me. No, that's not. That means that's conscious. Yes, that means you were conscious enough to know that somebody was trying to take your life, and then you responded appropriately. You know, man by nature will give anything to stay alive.
Catch 22.
Man by nature will give anything to stay alive, especially if you are a privileged person, who has access to tons of cash. You know, so he had to literally restrain him. Don't asphyxiate me. Yeah. You know, I mean, what are we talking about? We came here to talk. You want to take my life? Guys, okay.
And there's the cash at home.
You know, and after that, Akpabio, knowing that that particular inter-management committee had been blotted,
neutralized,
had been disgraced, had been discredited. That's the word. Has been discredited before Nigerians. He then did the fast thing to go again to get presidential approval to have a sole administrator. Again, they pandered to him, allowed him to have a sole administrator, and he has refused to inaugurate the board. So whatever happens, so I don't know. Let the government implement.
All the recommendations.
The House of Reps came up with its own. Senate came up with its own. Let the government look at those recommendations and blend them. Cherry pick the ones that you want. If you feel like cherry picking, cherry pick the ones that you want, and then let's have
the structures in place.
Okay, I have Kolawole Johnson on phone. Thank you for joining us, Kolawole Johnson.
Hey, thank you. Good to be with you again.
You've been at the vanguard of, fighting against corruption in NDDC. Right now, we have a very, very another terrible situation at hand.
Okay.
So, what do you make of this? 61.4 billion naira.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have decided to maintain silence because it appears no matter the amount of noise you make, the government will end up doing nothing. So it appears that the system we run actually is aiding these guys to do whatever they like. It appears the kind of system we run is aiding and abetting people, to get away with any amount or any kind of corruption in the system. What you're hearing is 61.4 billion naira. I can assure you that if the account of that commission is audited in the last 3 years, you'll be talking about over 300 billion naira. Forget 61.4 billion. It's just a little part of the, just a tiny part of the whole. Besides, the Senate that are today trying to probe these guys, you ask yourself that if they have carried out their oversight function properly, would you have a situation where these guys will have the room to steal, unhindered? So the fact is that they are all guilty. Each time you hear them shouting probe, we are victims. We have done our part. These guys are just looking for how to be part of the cake. The moment they give them their own shares, they keep quiet. Besides, if you look at many of the things they are shouting about today, they are part of the forensic auditing. So you ask them, why don't they focus their attention, the energy, on the corruption, on the sleaze ongoing there now? What are they talking about? Why do they keep flogging the past and they keep eating from that one again? If they do their oversight function properly, they will be able to stop the corruption ongoing now. AY, 61 billion is just a tip of the iceberg. In that place every single day, billions. sink. That's the fact. That's the truth.
What's your reaction to the refusal to inaugurate a board of the NDDC despite the president's promise?
Jimmy, I don't know if you followed us on that board issue. Let me strike some comparison here. You have the Northeast Development Commission today functioning with a board in place. NNPC has been accused of corruption, today functioning with a board in place. So you ask, what exactly has made the case of NDDC different? Is that they have refused to inaugurate a substantive board, despite the fact that that is what the law says. Now, take note of this fact that when you have a board in place, there are benefits. The entire 9 states of the Niger Delta area are represented, 1 per state. Number 2, you have the Ministry of Finance represented. Environment, also they are there. Then you have the oil companies themselves, who are the major, who are the one providing the largest fund to run this commission. They are also represented. Today, none of them is there. You have just one man, a sole administrator controlled by the minister. Whatsoever the sign goes, there is no check. Nobody is checking. Nobody is even acting, as the engineer on site. You don't have a project manager. There is no finance. Only one person, is the one to approve, is the one to supervise, is the one to monitor, is the one to procure. This is the height of fraud.
I'm afraid we have to leave it there.
Why is it that the president is refusing to inaugurate
the board?
A board. This is my judgment.
Kola Johnson, thank you.
To keep
Thank you.
He wants some few persons to keep feasting on the resources of the people. That's all. Because the more you
thank you for your contribution, Kola Johnson.
The board.
Thank you for your contribution. Reaching home stretch now after serious deliberations that dragged into early hours of Monday. The National Executive Council of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has voted to embark on a 1-month warning strike to press home its demand from the federal government. The strike is to allow governments do the needful, or the union will go on an indefinite strike. Let's share the story by TVC News senior correspondent Sharon Ijason with you.
The president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities at a press conference explains the reason behind the decision to embark on an industrial action. According to him, it's to save Nigeria's university system, considering the deteriorating state of the Nigerian universities.
Considering the government have failed to fully implement the memorandum of action signed with the Academic Staff Union of University on 23 December 2013, given that the draft report of the negotiation agreement has been submitted for finalization for more than 9 weeks, more than 9 works now, and noting that the forceful payment of ASU number salary and emolument with integrated payroll and personnel management information system IPs, and non-adoption of the University Transparency and Academic Solution have continued to shortchange our members. NEC therefore resolved to embark on a 4-week rollover total and comprehensive strike beginning from Monday, 14th February 2022, which is today.
The demands of the lecturers are the sustainability of the university autonomy, which the union said the introduction of the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System (IPIS) for the payment of its emoluments violates. The union seek its replacement with its own University Transparency and Accountability Solution (UTAS). Other demands include the endorsement of the renegotiated 2009 ASU FGN agreement, which it is said was concluded in May 2021, release of the report of visitation panels to federal universities, and distortions in salary payment challenges.
We work even on weekends. We work at night. For every lecture, you require no less than 3 hours of preparation. So you want to treat people like roadside mechanics, you don't treat academics like that. Our work is not gauged by hours of work.
The lecturers during the meeting demanded for the funding for revitalization of public universities, earned academic allowance, improved funding of state universities, and promotion arrears. Sharon Jackson, TVC News.
Dick of fashion there.
Yes.
Remember those good old
ageless activists.
Oh my God.
Ageless activists.
Now that we were talking about averting this action, yesterday we wanted to speak with ASU, but they insisted that they were meeting,
yes.
that they had to finish the meeting before they talk to us. Now I understand that they wanted to take one drastic action. Now, 1 month warning strike. What is the implication of this?
Well, the implication is that by the time if the government fails to respond to this warning strike, then it is an indefinite strike that will follow. So this one is tenured now. You know, there's a time ceiling for this. But what could result after this, what could happen after this is an indefinite strike that no one knows when it will end. It'll be 6 months. We've seen ASU go on strike for 6 months in our country. You know?
Yeah.
So we just hope that reason will prevail, that government will call the ASU and attempt to solve this problem. Well, we saw all those demands listed. This time around, they are asking for 2. UTAS accept their UTAS in place of IPPIS, and do the, the renegotiated 2009 agreement, accept it. You set up the committee by yourself. The Musa Ali Jibri, you told him to go and interface with ASU. Musa Ali Jibri came back with feedback, but you are refusing to look at what Musa Ali Jibri has come up with. Why did you tell the old man to go and do the job in the first place if you will not honor the agreement? So I just hope that somehow we'll be able to avert this strike. The Sultan, the Khan president, they came in, they spoke with ASU, they said, don't go on strike. That was back in December. And they said, look, we will go and meet the government on your behalf. Till today, we do not know what transpired. Did the government give those clerics and traditional rulers firm assurances that it will meet ASU's demands? We don't know. Now, nobody's even talking to them. It is when they've gone on strike now that you now see that they'll start talking to. You have a chance now to do something.
Some people will now say because their children, they don't have stake in these universities. That is why they are kind of laid back, and most public officers can afford to send their children abroad. But that if the government is really serious, that it's time to sit down and solve this problem once and for all. This problem has been on for over a decade, under different ministers, different permanent secretaries, and different members of NUC. We don't seem to get anywhere fast. That to me is the danger of the single narrative. Government has made up its mind not to do anything about this. I don't think so. But why have they not done something? It's something I cannot answer. Because it's becoming obvious that we've been here before. And if you are not careful, we'll be here again a few months down the line. But we need to solve this problem one for all. Don't forget there was a time the Nobel laureate said we need to do an emergency on the education sector. That things are that bad. But people seem not to give anything simply because they are not involved or their kids are not involved. That is not why you get a job. You get a job because you want to serve your country in the best way possible. And if the president has trusted you to give you the assignment to oversee any aspect of the education system, your job is to ensure it works. I don't understand. We've been here before 6 months ago, during the height of COVID, remember, we spent two editions talking about this thing. Now we are back here again. The implication now, Jide, is that our kids and students will now they will be grounded. They will be at home for 1 month.
Yes,
1 month.
That's what it means.
The implication.
That's what idleness. That's what it means. Already, COVID took a heavy toll in terms of the disruption to the academic calendar. You know, And then that strike came.
People that want to go and call off.
Came.
People that they need results. You don't.
So the memorandum of action that you then signed with these people when they called off the strike in December 2020. What has happened? What has happened? Why do you get into negotiations with people, negotiations that you have no plan to implement? That's what the Senate president said. If you've not got money to do certain things, tell them from the off that, gentlemen, we don't have this money. Don't sign an agreement with them in the knowledge that once you sign the agreement, they will not go on strike. You know, if they call off the strike at that point, you know, they can always return to it. You know, so
GKB, thank you. Gani Kaidumalugu Sierra, thank you for your contribution today.
Always a pleasure.
And BKO, the maestro himself, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you for doing this with me all the time. All
right, and that's a wrap. You can watch the repeat broadcasts of this episode tonight at 11 and join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.